Hello, everyone, and welcome to this latest session of Ask Dr. Sharon. I'm Sharon Walt, the Hashimoto health coach, and I'm absolutely delighted that you're joining me either live or at the replay. So just to do my usual little recap, the reason behind the Ask Dr. Sharon sessions is to answer any questions that you might have about autoimmune conditions in general and Hashimoto's in particular. A lot of the questions come from my clients, occasionally from some family members as well. And if you have a question, please don't hesitate, get in touch. You can leave a comment below, or you can get in touch with me through direct messaging. If you've got a question about your own health, personal issues, and you'd like to get a little bit of advice about that, you can book a free 20-minute session with me, and I will leave the link at the bottom of the screen at the end of today's session. Okay, let's get started. Now, over the past couple of sessions, I've talked about the importance of folate, an absolutely essential nutrient. Today, I want to discuss the importance of another key nutrient that's important not only to thyroid health, but also to overall health, and that's selenium. Now, selenium is an important trace element, and it's an antioxidant, and it does a number of things, and I'm just going to go through a bit of the list here. It works with vitamin E to assist in healthy growth and fertility, also protect normal cell function and enhance energy production. So that's quite a bit. That covers pretty much everybody's health right there. In addition, it provides support for the immune system. It promotes healthy blood flow. It can actually affect your mood, so it'll encourage overall feelings of well-being. And probably most importantly, I mean, there's a lot going on with selenium here. It helps the body process foods, and it aids in detoxification. And for those with Hashimoto's, it can help reduce thyroid antibodies. So selenium is one of these really key important nutrients that's going to, deficiencies are going to affect overall health. Now, in the thyroid, selenium supports the conversion of your body's inactive thyroid hormone, so that's T4, into T3, and that's the active form that your body needs. And this is one of the reasons that you can have adequate levels of T4 that's usually measured through TSH values, so those will be within the lab limits, but you can still have symptoms, and that's because you have a problem with the conversion. There are a number of reasons why this conversion won't go ahead, but selenium is probably one of the common ones. And because of its influence on the detoxification, it also protects your body's thyroid cells from oxidative damage. Now, I want to focus on two of the functions that I noted, so detoxification and the immune system. Now, the first involves selenium's role as an antioxidant. Now, the conversion of T4 into T3 occurs mostly in the liver, and another key nutrient, iodine, supports this process. So this is really important here, is that it's the balance of selenium and iodine that is important. So selenium itself neutralizes a toxic buildup of hydrogen peroxide, which is produced as a byproduct of T4 to T3 conversion. So just let me recap this a little bit. You need the selenium for the conversion, but in the process of that conversion, you have hydrogen peroxide that can be built up into toxic levels. Now, the removal process is important, obviously, as hydrogen peroxide is what we call a reactive oxygen species, or a free radical. It causes oxidative damage and inflammation. And this buildup can cause damage to DNA and even cell death. Now, selenium's job of neutralizing the hydrogen peroxide produced during the conversion, it's going to become more critical when a person has high iodine levels. Now, remember that I mentioned the balance of iodine and selenium is important? So in the case of too much iodine, a greater amount of hydrogen peroxide is created. So even if your selenium levels are normal, too much iodine creates a relative selenium deficiency in the body. So in other words, there's too much iodine and too much hydrogen peroxide for the normal level of selenium to deal with. So you're going to get this toxic buildup. And this is worsened even more if a person is also deficient in selenium at the same time. Okay, so why is this a bad thing? Well, when the reactive hydrogen peroxide is left unchecked, again, it causes the oxidative damage and inflammation of the surrounding thyroid tissues. This inflammation triggers lymphocytes, or your white blood cells, to converge for cleanup. So this is their job. This is what they do. So this is where the immune system gets involved. Now, as your white blood cells converge onto the inflamed areas, small amounts of antibodies are formed to help mark the damaged cells that need to be cleaned up. Again, this is the normal activity of the white blood cells. Now, in instances of higher turnovers of cell, so this is, you've got a lot of oxidative damage to deal with, more antibodies are produced. And this can cause a shift in the immune system. And this shift can result in the failure of the immune system to distinguish self from non-self. Okay, so this means that the immune system would become more likely to attack thyroid cells instead of the inflamed cells that it's supposed to be dealing with. So this is one way that autoimmunity can start. Now, there are a number of other ways, and I think I've talked about those in numerous times, starting with gut health. But this is one way where if you follow the process from a deficiency in selenium to a buildup in hydrogen peroxide that causes oxidative stress, that then gets the white blood cells, your immune system, involved, to then shifting to an autoimmune situation. And what has been found in the research over maybe the past decade is that a selenium deficiency is recognized risk factor for Hashimoto's and autoimmune disorders in general. So having a deficiency is actually can have some pretty widespread implications here. Now, the good news is that selenium supplementation has also been shown to halt this progression, okay, which brings me to how to ensure that you're getting enough. Now, while I prefer that most people get their selenium from food sources, there are some reasons why this just isn't practical. Now, in order for selenium to be in food, and I'm just going to do a bit of an aside here, the common sources include Brazil nuts, seafood, meat, poultry, and organ meats are the richest food sources of selenium, but you can also get it from cereals and grains and dairy products. Okay, so again, in order for selenium to be in the food, it also has to be in the soil that the food was grown in, or that the food ate from, or whatever. So deficiencies could be due to naturally low amounts in the soil, such as in the case of New Zealand, where we have practically no selenium in our soil. But it can also be due to soil depletion because of poor farming practices. So this means that in general, unless you have a pretty good idea of the conditions where your food are growing, that you have absolutely no idea how much selenium is in the food. Okay. So what this means is that you're going to have some difficulty in getting a consistent therapeutic dose of selenium just from your food alone. Now, a therapeutic dose is generally anywhere between 200 and 400 micrograms a day. Okay. So this is probably one of the few times where I suggest that getting supplementation from a quality source is probably the best answer. And a quality source, what I mean is a very good quality supplement from a recognized lab. Okay. Now, multivitamins may not be the best solution because they usually don't have a therapeutic dose in them. And so if you try to up the amount of multivitamins you take in order to get a therapeutic dose, you might actually throw off the entire balance of the nutrients. And throwing off the balance of your nutrients can cause some other problems down the line. Now, absorption of selenium can also be an issue, and it can be improved by pairing it with vitamin E and also some other amino acids. So those are from the breakdown of proteins that you can get from eggs, fish, and nuts. You should also ensure that you're not taking high doses of either zinc or copper, as these compete with selenium for absorption, okay? So, yeah, I know that this is kind of a lot of information here, but I guess one of the big take-home messages I want you to do is that taking big doses of single ones can be an issue without some guidance, but also upping multivitamins so that you've got a lot of other nutrients involved can also be an issue because of the competition for absorption. Now, another nutrient that has shown what we call a synergistic benefit, so adding it actually really kind of pumps up the benefit of selenium, is something called inositol. Sorry, I have a little bit of a problem with just pronouncing it today, which is it's also known as vitamin B8. It's not actually a vitamin. Inositol is it's a form of sugar that the body naturally produces to provide structure to your cells, but you can take it in a form that's in a supplement. Now, research has shown that a combination of selenium and inositol can actually maximize the benefit to thyroid function. So consuming both of them together may not just reduce thyroid antibodies, but also over time can start reducing TSH by an amount of research has suggested about 30%. Okay. Now, can you take too much selenium? Yes, there may be an issue with toxicity. The levels of which can be very individualized. So some of the research suggests that anything over 700 micrograms a day can be toxic, but some people are going to be more sensitive to it. So you do have to show a little bit of constraint there. What are the symptoms of selenium toxicity? Well, it could be GI disturbances, could be hair loss, changes in your hair and nails, fatigue, peripheral neuropathy, irritability, garlic smelling breath, fever, nausea. Your skin may have a jaundice quality to it. So these are kind of all over the place, and you really do have to kind of track the symptoms, okay? Because some of these can be from too much, like from toxic results of selenium, but also some of them you might recall are also symptoms of Hashimoto's, okay? Potentially serious side effects include problems with your liver, kidney, and your heart. And that makes sense due to the effect of selenium on these organ systems. But kind of the good news is toxicity rarely happens, okay? But you do have to be concerned. So it's not like more is not better here. Okay, I have talked a lot today. I've presented a lot of information, but again, what's the take-home message? Well, if possible, it's best to look at what your selenium and iodine levels are before you start supplementing. So blood tests can be necessary there. But also it's helpful to take a holistic approach in what's going on with your body here. As I said, selenium can be a problem with the conversion, but there are other things, and stress is a known problem for the conversion of T4 to T3, which will have similar effects as selenium deficiencies. So best to look at things holistically, get some guidance from a practitioner who will provide this holistic approach, hopefully a functional medicine approach as well, before you start supplementing. Okay, as I said, a lot today. Hopefully you found this useful. and be able to take some of it on board. So I just want to thank you for today, and I hope you have a very good week. And bye for now.